Hello, hello, here we go, it's the Kopite Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Kopite Podcast. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today. We're going into the Twitterverse. This is a new show we're going to be doing on a weekly basis where we're going to be reacting to some of the tweets in the football world. So joining me today is Matt. What's up, Matt?
I'm good, how are
Jay?
you?
Not too bad, not too bad. How you doing, mate? And Mick.
All good, mate. All good. All good.
All right. So let's go on to the first tweet, and that is...
Brilliant.
All right, so something from the Aston Villa game, the FA Cup tie. So obviously tough game, or what turned out to be a tough game. But yeah, just taking the piss out of the kids a bit. What do you think about that, Matt?
I mean, it's pretty accurate, not gonna lie. The squad that they put out against us. I mean, if they would have had Jack Grealish, they probably would have ended up winning that game. But hey ho.
Anyone else want to chime in on what is kind of an accurate tweet?
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, what Matt's just said, if they did have Jack Grealish, they probably would have won the game. But you've got to give massive credit to that Aston Villa side. They were absolutely fantastic, and they pushed us all the way until obviously that second half when the legs had gone a little bit. But you know, it comes with experience, and they said they can go toe to toe with the champions of the world, champions of England, and the former champions of Europe. You know, it's great, and then fair play to Gareth Barry's grandson for scoring his goal. You know, fair play to him. So.
All right, Mick, anything to chime in on Aston Villa? They obviously seem like a club that's shifting in the right direction at the moment.
100%. Like, yeah, I echo what Jay said. Like, absolute quality. Shout out to Jack Grealish's calves as well. They're a thing of beauty as well, aren't they? They are rivaling Jadon and Shaqiri.
I was going to say, are they better? I wouldn't say they're better, but they're up there.
I wouldn't say they're better. I think because Shaq's a bit squat on that. It looks a bit better on him. Maybe that's why he gets all those calf injuries. But yeah, Grealish, he might be off, mightn't he, in the summer? So yeah, that'll be an interesting one to watch anyway.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, moving on then. Here's the next tweet.
Brilliant.
All right, and that is Mr. Donny van der Beek, who might have ruined his career this past summer moving to Man United. So yeah, an interesting situation. Mick, I'll come to you. Any comments on whether we're likely to see him this weekend?
I'd be surprised because he's not been playing in this United side that have been doing so well, and the fact that they're coming up against us at Anfield and he's an attacking midfielder, he's going to be the opposite of what they're going to want to do on Sunday. They're going to want to come to Anfield and defend and counter-attack. So unless they need a goal towards the end and you throw him on for a lifeline, I don't see him even getting on the pitch, to be honest, on Sunday. But he's a good player. It's just that it is a shame the way it's gone for him. And I mean, there's been a lot of uproar in Holland, hasn't he, about him and about the way it's been going for him. I think sure Van der Sar was talking to BT Sport about it, like loads of people like saying, why is he gone there? Why didn't he stay in Holland, or why didn't he go somewhere else where he was guaranteed minutes? So yeah, I think we were interested in him as well, if the transfer rumours are to be believed. So I don't know, it's be interesting to see how long he stays there, because he can't, how good he is, he can't just stay on the bench forever for them, because he is quality.
He needs to go. He needs to go back. He just needs to go back to Dawson's Creek, doesn't he? Really, Van der Beek. He just needs to bugger off. I just don't get it. I don't understand why they pay that money for him and then he doesn't play. Something's gone on there. Something's gone on. Was he a Solskjaer signing? Was he a Manchester United board signing? We just don't know. It's very strange, and like, you just can't predict whether he's going to play or not. But that is a funny tweet there because he's got his game, but it's just a weird one. It reminds me of Obertan. When United signed Obertan all them years ago, and they thought he was going to be the dog's bollocks, and he was more than that. He didn't play. Then when he did play, he didn't show anything. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's just another one of those.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll come to you, Matt, in a sec. But just to put it into perspective, his other option this summer was Real Madrid, and obviously, when you look at his situation and what he would have been looking at when he had his choice, obviously Real Madrid has a set midfield. But when you look at that Manchester United side, they've got Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes playing that position. So, what do you think kind of persuaded him to think that Man United would be a choice over Real Madrid?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't think you were the choice, mate. No.
I can understand why he picked United. Just because when he signed, Pogba was kind of rumours that he was leaving. You look at that midfield, kind of weak at the time, at least. Like Fred wasn't really performing well. McTominay was in and out. Bruno Fernandes was really the only one that was set. And Van de Beek, he's more attacking, but he's a quality box-to-box for Ajax as well. So he's a signing that when United announced him, I was like, God, he can take him to the next level. And it's just weird how he's not playing, because he is an amazing midfielder. Like, he bossed it along with De Jong when they got to that Champions League semi-final. So I can't for the life of me understand how they're not trying to fit him in the squad, to be fair.
All right, well, it's certainly an interesting situation. But talking about interesting situations, here's another one.
This again.
Yep, the Mbappe to Liverpool rumours just don't seem to go away, and yet again, here they are popping up all over Twitter, and there's more and more reason to think that there's potential for it to happen, and maybe more than anything is the fact that Madrid probably can't afford him at the moment, considering they're asking players to take pay cuts. So, would you like to see Kylian Mbappe in a red shirt, Jay?
Absolutely. Who wouldn't want to see Kylian Mbappe in a red shirt? Of course I would. Would I want to sacrifice a Mo Salah or a Sadio Mane for him? No, I would not, because that's the crux of the whole fucking thing. If you click on LFC Transfer Room's tweet and then you go through the comments, there'll be someone saying, yes, I want him, time to get rid of Salah, time to get rid of Mane. So that'll be the crux of the conversation that's going on underneath that tweet. Do I want Mbappe? Absolutely. Have we got to think about the future? Yes, we have. Now, again, we come into the conversation of, do we get rid of one of them? Just right this second, no, I wouldn't get rid of either of them, because we've had this conversation loads of times. But yeah, it does seem like a bit of a fairy tale. But obviously, there's things in that tweet there where it's like, Nike will pay 20%. It's vital that LeBron James is part of the deal and stuff like that. Even though since Nike have come in, we've never seen heard a breath of LeBron James apart from wearing the new Nike shirt. That's about it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it'd be nice, but I just can't see it at the minute. I really can't.
All right. Well, Matt, can you see a world in which we don't have to get rid of a Mane or a Salah to fit Kylian Mbappe into this team?
Nope. Simple answer, yeah, no. Liverpool aren't going to go and spend over 100 and something million without recouping at least a large chunk of that. That's just not how FSG have done business. If you look at how much we spend, we spent a lot, but the net spend is very low, and that's how they work. They work within the net spend, and you're not going to recoup that much money without selling one of the big boys, unfortunately. But a question that I want to throw at Jay is, you wouldn't sacrifice a Mane or a Salah, but both will be 30 by the end of next season.
I know, mate. I know, and I'm talking from the heart. I'm talking from here instead of up here. And you're absolutely spot on when it comes to the age thing. You're absolutely true. But again, I suppose when Mick talks about it in a second, and obviously the love he's got for Mo Salah, and he said it for ages, it's the whole persona that Salah hasn't done it at Liverpool the last couple of years when he clearly has. But it's like I said to you, mate. It's a conversation that we're going to have, and like I said previously, it will happen, and you are absolutely spot on, mate. Would I want to swap them right now? No, because I know what Mane and Salah are about. I know they can do it in the Premier League. It's all that a foreigner coming back in, and you're absolutely right, Matt. It will be something that FSG will be planning for. Now, if it turns out that has to happen, then yeah, of course that would be a conversation. But right now, I wouldn't swap either of them two for anybody in the world.
It's a weird
But
thing. I do agree. Like I wouldn't swap Mane or Salah right now for Mbappe. But do I want Mbappe going forward over an aging Mane or Salah?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Take it.
Yeah, oh God, mate, it does. It makes sense. It does. I suppose because of what we're experiencing over the last 3 or 4 years with both of them, it's just been unprecedented. And you never would have thought in a million years that signing those two players would give you what we've been given, and we're so lucky. And I think that's what everyone has to appreciate, because we've said it for a long time, haven't we, Mick? The amount of times that you don't appreciate anything until it's gone, and that's the thing that we had with Suarez, we had it with Torres, and I fear that we'll get it with Salah, because yes, Mbappe is a world-class talent, but can he do it in the Premier League? I'm sure he can, because he's got the talent, but we don't know yet. And is it the better the devil you know? But you are right, Matt. The age thing is a big caveat on it. FSG haven't done business like that, where they've just spent another 150 million on a player and brought him in. But it'll be interesting to see. But the one positive we've got to take from all this is, whatever happens, Liverpool are not selling a big name to buy shit. We're selling a big name to buy another big name, and we're talking the best of the best. You know, if we're getting linked with Mbappe, we're getting linked with Haaland. That has never happened before. And that's a massive positive. So yes, it's obviously great that we've got Salah and Mane, but from going forward, mate, it's only going to get better, isn't it? You know, we're not going to feel that drop off, and that's the most heartfelt thing I can take from it all. Sorry, Mick.
No, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. Like, and that's to be a point where we do look to the future. I'm just looking now. Like, Mane's 29 in April, and Salah is 29 in June. So it's like we've got to do it at some point. It's just trying to figure out when the best time to do that is, because obviously the likes of Mbappe, the likes of Sancho, these type of players that we probably do need to look at some point. It's going to happen, and I just don't know when. I can't see a point in the future where we're gonna get rid of one of them. It's difficult, isn't it? And I mean, like, Salah's performance levels have dropped off a little bit lately, but saying that, he'll probably go and score a couple on Sunday and shut us all up again, because that's the type of player he is, and his numbers speak for themselves. So the Sadio Mane is like, they're both absolutely out of this world, and we're so lucky to have them. But the conversation probably will have already been had, and many times, with Klopp and Michael Edwards and whoever else is behind the scenes doing all the recruitment, in terms of who will we look to move on first, because it's going to have to happen, because they're all reaching that age now where they're getting towards 30, and we need to go, right, who's next in line for Firmino, Mane, Salah. We're going to have to rebuild slowly, because Fergie done it for all those years, and now, like, to be fair to him, he done it
brilliant,
unbelievably well. You've got to give credit to the fella. Like, I hated him, but he was so good at that. And Klopp has proved that he's a master of signing bargains. But it's the big names that worry me a little bit more, that he needs to bring in. And I know, like, if we bring in an Mbappe, it's not the quality that we'll be worried about. It's the temperament. It's is he willing to work? Is he willing to adapt to the Klopp way and do all those other things that are so vital to a Klopp system? So there's a load of factors to factor in. So it'll be an interesting one. But yeah, I mean, me and you, Jay, we talked to Craig, didn't we, from the Anfield Rap about this, where they created this Mbappe 2020 from nothing, the hashtag, and everyone just jumped on board, and it was like, it became a craze just because they created it. And it's became a bit of a reality, and yeah, if the question is, would I like to see Kylian Mbappe in a Liverpool shirt? Absolutely. But it's figuring how to get them into the team without absolutely breaking the bank, because we know they're not going to break the bank, because they proved that during this 14th of January today. So timestamp the video there, and we haven't signed a centre back. So if we had the money, and if FSG were willing to, they would have. So it's a difficult one to see. But I reckon it will probably happen at some point, because he's still fairly young. So if we get him, as long as someone else doesn't snap him up first, then yeah, go for it.
I mean, sorry for hijacking this completely, but I'm glad you mentioned Firmino, because I think he's the key one that needs to be replaced. I think he's the one that can stay for longest, given the role he plays. Like, he's not pacey anyway, so the older he gets, that pace thing isn't going to drop off. Like, he's quite intelligent, but the role that he plays in Liverpool is so key. And so niche that I think he's going to be the hardest one to replace.
Well, I think that brings Minamino back into the picture again for me. Like I know he's been good in spells, Minamino, but there's been a lot of question marks over him. I think Firmino's 30 this year in October, so Minamino's got 4 years younger than him. So if we can kind of get him to a point where he can start playing more games, which we all want him to do, then yeah. Like what better person to learn off than Bobby Firmino in terms of that role, and we all say Minamino hasn't got a set role yet, so if he can if Klopp can go, right, we want you to be in this role and we can guarantee you'll be in there for the next 2 years, to the point where we then have to replace in the same way we're going to do with Salah and Mane at some point in the next 2 years, then I think that might be the way that he's doing it.
Well, we kind of
let's get off the Mbappe thing. Fucking hell.
All right. on that, we'll move on to the next tweet, which is
shout out transfer room again.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting one.
This quote was coming off of a podcast where Fabrizio Romano was talking about the fact that Liverpool's players aren't looking to join Liverpool for several reasons, most of them being the intense competition for places for the reigning Premier League champions. So what do you guys think of this? Is this footballers going soft? Is this people just admiring the talent and the ability at Liverpool and thinking that they're not going to be able to get regular time on the pitch for the Reds? Or is it just, people genuinely thinking that it's going to be a bit much for them, and it's going to, much like Van der Beek, ruin their career?
I think it's two things. I think one, I think it's bullshit, and secondly, if it is true, I think players are stupid, because we've just talked about our aging front three, and if someone doesn't want to come in, maybe play rotational like Yotta's done for the next 2 years, and then be starting for Liverpool, then they're not really looking towards the future of their career. Like Yotta's come in, eaten the bench for 3 games, got rotated in, and then proved to be key. And now everyone's sort of knowing that, okay, well, Yotta's just going to walk back into this team. Like, that we weren't saying that when he signed. So players just have to take a gamble, and it's not even a gamble. Our front three, all of our front three is going to be 30 by the end of next season. Like, come on, players.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Matt. I think part of it, I do smell bullshit in the comments. I think a lot of press now have to, when it comes to transfers and stuff like that, especially around this period, they have to call bullshit. They have to say shit that is going to kick up a fuss for people. But then when we do sign somebody, they're the first to break the news, because I just think that they're told by the club these days to not say anything, because we've had our arse tickled in the past. Look at the Van Dijk saga that summer. It was. We got absolute. Where did we got absolute? We'll pull that photograph up again, mate. But we did though, didn't we? When you look at it, that we had to apologise publicly, and it was embarrassing. And it was like, well, that isn't the Liverpool way. That's not how we do business. And they've probably told every person who's connected to the club, like James Pearce and Paul Joyce, just deny everything until you see the Melwood lean, or the AXA Training Centre lean, how it's now going to be called. We've got to wait for that. So I don't think a competition thing when you're one of the best clubs in the world, if not the best, you've got to have the best players, and the best players want to play in the best teams and win the trophies. So yeah, I agree with Matt. I think it's a lot of bullshit. I think Real Madrid bought the best players every year for years, didn't they? And there was always massive competition there. So yeah, I think it's a lot of bullshit.
Mick, anything else to chime in?
Yeah, it's bullshit. I mean, I think I replied to this tweet when it came out, and it was like, this is Yotta's case in point, like Matt said. Like, someone can come in out of the blue who's a good player, who we know can fit the system, and can not disrupt, but can kind of change it up and make everyone else around them play better. And that's what was happening when Yotta was in the team. He was making everyone go, right, I'm coming for your position. If you're not on top form, you're getting replaced by me, and I'm going to come in and score goals. He scored a hatful. He scored absolutely fucking loads. And now he's gone. Dropped off is a coincidence. I don't know. Obviously, Van Dijk and Gomez missing, and obviously missing other players and whatever else obviously has a factor. But him missing has probably gone under the radar in terms of how influential he was on this team in that period where he was scoring so much goals. So if Klopp's trying to convince anyone, then I don't think he has to convince anyone. And I mean, if they need convincing, I don't want them, is the point, really, because we're the best team in the world, in my opinion, at the minute. So if you need someone to go, oh, are you sure you don't want to sign for us? Then you might as well fuck them off, because for me, like, this whole thing with, like, comes back to Salah again. If Salah wants to leave, as much as I love the fella, he can go. If he wants to go, I honestly, we should be this ruthless. Like, if Wijnaldum wants to leave, as much as I love him, as much as he fits the system, he's perfect for the system. He's great at everything. He's a perfect Klopp player. If he wants to go, all right, in a bit, see you later, we'll get someone else in. That is literally the mentality we need to have, because we're at the stage we're at in our progression, we're doing so well. If someone doesn't want to be here, fuck off then, in a bit. We'll get someone else in who wants to play and wants to prove themselves and wants to come in and fight for the place. Like, if Trent came in and done so well, Neco Williams has come in, like Reece Williams coming, obviously, albeit injuries, but Klopp's not averse to throwing someone in if they're proven and if they're good enough on the ball, they're good enough to play in a Klopp system, if they've given enough time to adapt and get up to the level where he's happy with them to come in and perform and not be worried about them, then, like, yeah, I think it's a load of bullshit. And like Jay said, it's just a way to kind of get more people talking about Liverpool, because that's the way it is now. Like, when you're the best in the league, everyone wants to beat you, everyone wants to talk about you, and it's all about you. So I think we just need to embrace that, and I think it's a load of shit that's everyone
the timing doesn't make any sense. The timing doesn't make sense either, because if this would have come out last year, when we were like in the midst of the undefeated streak, going for the league, and you looked at the lineup and it was literally like basically a cut and paste every week, then you can understand sort of a player going, all right, well, I'm not going to make my way into this team. They're just ruthless. They're going and going and going. But this season, with the schedule how it is, with the injuries how they are, with Liverpool missing a bit of a spark, Klopp is looking for a solution to the team, because it's stuttering a little bit. We have gaps that need to be plugged. If a player doesn't want to come in and try and be the guy that fixed Liverpool this season or got them back to what they were at, then, I mean, this is why I don't believe it.
Yeah, well, it's certainly an interesting take. Our next tweet is actually interesting in itself, and there's more of a story behind this than the actual tweet, which is...
Okay. Yep.
All day long. Yep.
So the biggest reason I picked this tweet, because it's not surprising that Liverpool are lining up contracts for two of their most crucial players, and certainly Fabinho has stepped up and probably been our most crucial player this year. But they are eyeing up these contracts over Mo Salah's extension and prioritising these two. Anyone shocked by that?
No.
Nope.
You take Salah out the side, and I feel like you've got Bobby, you've got Mane, now you've got Jota, you've got Sephton come in next year, you've got Harvey Elliott, who will no doubt be a big player, I think, for us next year. You take Van Dijk out of the side, you drop off defensively quite a bit. You take Fab out the side, you drop off quite a bit. You take both out the side, we're fucked. So keeping those two is definitely key.
Yeah, Van Dijk's 13 in July, but if he comes back to the same level he was, for me, he can play till he's 36. He's like, obviously his pace is going to diminish, and that's one of his big assets, but positionally and like aerially, everything else, he can play for as long as he wants, because he's just an absolute machine. So yeah, I understand that one completely. And Fabinho is proving himself as obviously one of the best in the world at CDM, and he's also proved that centre half now, so keeping him around is absolutely integral. So yeah.
So the one thing I'm going to ask, Jay, is the fact that despite us having a poor run of form, we haven't conceded 2 goals in a game since October 17th against Everton. Is it more crucial that we keep our attacking line together than our defensive line, considering we've been actually quite stellar at the back since Van Dijk's injury?
Yeah, it's a funny one, that, mate, and that's a belter of a stat there, mate. Maybe it is because our attack is sort of letting us down a little bit in terms of not putting the ball in the back of the net, and that's what's costing us at the minute. But I don't know. I think it goes back to the age thing, doesn't it? You know, the forward line is getting on a bit. And I'm saying that as a 35-year-old. I wish I was their fucking age. Do you know what I mean? It's mad, but in a footballing terms, they are getting on a bit. But Van Dijk can play probably till he's 40 because of how good he is, and centre backs do get to play a lot longer. And then Fabinho, what he does for the side. So the other boys have covered it, mate. I just think that is the priority, and I agree with it. But again, you don't want to be losing the talent that is Mane and Salah. But again, it goes back to the prepping for the future. But yeah, I agree with this. Giving Fabinho and Van Dijk bigger contracts, I'm all for it, because the contribution that those two have made to our side that has helped us win the trophies that we won over the last 2 years.
We just look at other centre backs like worldwide, like Chiellini, Ramos. Like we know we all hate Sergio Ramos, but you can't deny he has been world class his career. He's 34 now. He's still bossing it. Chiellini's late 30s. You know that Van Dijk's going to be able to do it. Fabi is, in my opinion, the best CDM in the world. It makes sense. And Salah, it's not like Salah's contract's running out. He's got time left. And they might just be prioritising Van Dijk and Fabi because they're more key.
I think the people you just mentioned there, Matt, like Ramos and Chiellini, I don't even think that a shade as good as Van Dijk is, in my opinion. Like, they're both great and they both have been for a long time, over a long period of years. But I think Van Dijk is just an all-round beast, and he can, like Jay said, he could probably play till he's 40. Like, he is that good. He could do a job for anyone, and it's like, I just hope he comes back as strong and as good as he was. That's the main concern for me. But yeah, tie him down to his contract for us. Just put a blank contract in front of him and say, however long you want to play for, how much you want, go ahead. Because since he came in, he's been that key to us. Him and Alisson have allowed us to win these trophies. I know the front three are so important to us, but it's that base that we're so used to, and we rely on so much now, that when they're not there, you feel the absence of them. So it's, yeah, definitely.
All right, so the next tweet is going to throw a spanner in all the works of what we've just been talking about, and that is
football.
Yeah,
great. Fair play, good strike. Impressive, deserves it. Sound.
So, talking about Mo Salah and his contract extension, and especially with all this stuff that's going around now, that he's not that he's not happy, but that he's been interested in a move to Real Madrid, although by all means the quote has been taken out of context. Just a word on Mohamed Salah and what he means to this club, Matt.
The majority of people will give Salah his due once he's left. It's mad to think of Mo Salah as underrated, but he really is underrated. Everyone's been waiting for him to drop off for years. Rival fans have been saying he's a one-season wonder, adding it 2-season wonder, 3-season wonder, 4-season wonder, waiting for this guy to drop off, and his levels are astounding. His numbers are ridiculous. And he's a big part of the Champions League and the Premier League success. He's no doubt going to be very difficult to replace. But if he wants to leave, I think as Liverpool fans, he's definitely earned the right to leave as a hero and not like Torres did.
All right, Jay, anything to add on that? Mo Salah?
I'm more bothered about what Matthews just said about his boyfriend, about Torres.
I know.
You okay, Matt?
I just miss him.
I know, and he misses you.
True.
Mate. I love Mo Salah. I just think he's great, and we're so lucky to have him. And I can't really add too much more to what we've been saying over the last 10 minutes. So let's just enjoy him while we've got him, boys and girls, whoever's watching.
All right, and this next tweet, another potential replacement for him.
Yeah.
I love this man. This is my type of guy. This is my type of striker. I love him. I just love the way he's got an eye for goal. I love the fact that he's a second generation footballer as well, of a footballer I've seen growing up. I love that. I did like Alfingi Island. I thought he was a good player for Leeds and City. I did like him. Unfortunately, I think he's only got one knee thanks to Roy Keane. It's just a horrendous tackle. But no, Haaland, watching him live was a privilege for me last year. Was it last year? No. Yeah, no, it was 2019. Fucking hell. Yeah, December 2019. Jesus Christ. Watching him live was just a joy because you're just looking at this strike in your head. There's big talk about him. His movement's fantastic. He's got an eye for goal like Robbie Fowler. Yeah, love him. And the tweet there by the Gerrard was saying, "Bring this monster to Anfield." Absolutely, bring him. Would I take him over Kylian Mbappe? Yes, I would.
That's an interesting thing to say because I would too, actually. I think that he is much more of a fit for Klopp's system. I think he's got much more of a work ethic. I think that he is better in the air, which is a big thing for Klopp because obviously having Trent and Robbo and having a target like that in the middle would be a dream for them too because the kid's what, 6'1", 6'2", and he's not an athletic. So yeah, he seems to have a work rate and stuff, but then again, is it going to be a case of having to replace him or having to get rid of the likes of a Mane or a Salah to bring him in?
I don't think so. Firstly, I like the fact. I think it's quite funny that the photo is him scoring at Anfield. That's kind of that's pretty good. No, I think the fact he's got I think it's 40 million, 50 million release clause means that, and we spent that on Jota, so there's no reason why we'd have to recoup it, or at least have to sell a big name to recoup it. I think we could afford that. It's just,
I had no idea it was that low, Matt. I had no idea it was the release clause.
I was about to say, if it's that cheap, fuck me, then
yeah. But I think it comes into effect next summer. So I don't think we'd have to get rid of one of the front three to afford him. I think it'd be a case of maybe having to get rid of one of the front three to fit him in. Because you buy Erling Haaland, you start Erling Haaland, but then you've got Jota, you got Bobby, you got Mane, you got Salah. You can't play 5 attackers. I mean, at least Klopp's not going to play 5 attackers. So you'd think that one of them would be like, all right, I'm out. But he does fit the Klopp system. I wouldn't change our system for any player. I think, but for him, I'd tweak it slightly. We'd have a proper striker. We'd have a number 9, and a number 9 that is going to cause chaos in this league.
You could have Bobby behind him, which would just be absolutely. I mean, just looking at now, like he's 21 in July, which is just crazy. The trajectory he's going on, and like Jay said, like the fact that he's Alfinger Haaland's son and he's doing so well on his own back and making a name for himself. Like 6'4", he's an absolute beast. Like I know we see him when he came up against Van Dijk, and Van Dijk was bullying him. Like he's still a kid, really. He's still got a lot of growing to do, a lot of development to do, and just him in a Klopp system, in a Klopp team with that work ethic and that eye for goal. It's a scary prospect. So I'd take him and beat me.
And he rivals Jordan Henderson for angriest goal celebrations as well, which is great.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a dangerous combination to have on a pitch. But would we see a shift to a 4-2-3-1 more consistently if we were able to bring him in and keep the front three with Firmino playing in behind him and the likes of Thiago and Henderson sitting behind, and or Thiago and Fabinho sitting in behind and spraying balls to 3 unbelievable players and having Firmino doing his thing in the middle? Matt, obviously you touched on.
Yeah, I think if we get Haaland, and I'd echo what everyone else has said, Haaland over Mbappe for me. If we got Haaland, I think it would be a switch to a 4-2-3-1, but I still think it would be either Mane or Mo to leave. And I think we'd see, let's say Mo leaves, I think it'd be a 4-2-3-1 with Bobby in behind, and then Mane and Jota on the wings with Haaland up top. But I think one of either our number 11 or our number 10, they'd be leaving.
All right, now let's move on to a little bit more of a touchy subject with our next tweet.
I had an hour today at work about this. Fuck's sake.
I mean,
well then, mate, you go first.
Well, firstly, why is he telling us now? It's just the most pointless thing. Like, we all know what should have been done and what was the correct way, because it was a Peter Walton on the day telling us, right, why this is definitely a red card. He's going to give a red card. Then he didn't give a red card, and we're like, why the fuck is he not giving a red card? Because he's not looked at it properly. And it's just telling us what we already know. But in a way, it made me more annoyed, because I'd rather, in this scenario, I'd rather not know, because we all know what the truth is. So him confirming it is like, well, why the fuck didn't you do what you meant to do then, and look at it like foul play? It doesn't matter if it's an offside or not. So does that mean I can go and fly and kick someone and like the linesman because it's offside? Like, it's just yeah, it's a mad one. And I understand referees coming out and like admitting mistakes or whatever, and it's better that they do come out and do it. But in this scenario, I'd rather he didn't, because it just really annoyed me. So
the
yeah,
timing is ridiculous. The timing is just horrendous. I mean, you can get his mindset of saying, okay, I want to admit that I made a mistake, but this is months too late. Like, where was this the day after the match, when he's seen the match back, when he's had his briefings, when he's realised, I fucked up? Where was this then? Were we just all that pissed off that he was scared? We were right to be pissed off, and this is just pissing us off again. Because that changes the whole complexion of that match, and possibly we win that match, Pickford's off, maybe Thiago doesn't go down, so it changed the whole complexion of the season, that decision. And months later, it's useless him coming out and saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just going to get our back up and get us pissed off, which we are pissed off, but nothing we can do to change it. No point dwelling on it now. We've cried about it, but let's just crack on.
All right, so for this next week, we've got some more input from the man himself, Michael Oliver.
If you scrap VAR tomorrow, all you'd hear is that would be a pen with VAR. As soon as it would be removed, he's got a point though. He has got a point. As soon as you give someone something and you get used to it for a little bit, and then you take it away, you're always going to look at the positive and negative about it. So he's absolutely spot on there. Give him his due. He is, because before I was doing a bit of research for something, and nothing like that. And I was looking at the FA Cup final from 2001, and you look at Stefan Anfield with his elbow, and it's handball, and it's clear as day. And there was no conversations for years about that, wanting technology and all that sort of stuff. He's absolutely spot on. If you took VAR away from us now, and then decisions don't go against us, we'd be moaning for VAR the same way we moan about it when decisions don't go our way. You can't win. They can't win. No one can win in these situations until the rules are set. It's not the technology's fault. It's the referees and the rules. That's what needs to be sorted, and VAR will be absolutely fine.
I agree with some of what you said.
I'd flick my hair if I could.
Well, I agree that you scrap VAR and then people would be calling back for VAR, but I disagree with his quote saying all you'd hear is people saying that would be a pen with VAR, because now with VAR we don't know what's a pen and we don't know what isn't a pen.
Well, that's what I mean about the rules, mate. That's what I meant by it. Yeah.
Because even now, you look at the penalty that Pogba got, you looked at the two that Liverpool didn't get against Southampton. It's happening week in, week out. Some stuff's given, the same thing in another match isn't given. So I agree with what Jay said. It's definitely the rules that need to be fixed and get some consistency. And it's not the technology, because once there's consistency, the technology is bound to get it right all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, my question about this is, how can it be done so right everywhere else and so wrong in the Premier League? How can there be no or so little controversy with VAR during the week in the Champions League, and then come to a weekend in the Premier League and it seems like every other weekend there's a rule being changed or a decision that's gone one way the previous week and been changed this week? So Mick, do you want to just tide over like how you feel about how it can be so different from competition to competition?
I think we all know the Premier League's probably the best league in the world, so they take that much longer over stuff. But in doing that, it overcomplicates things, in my opinion. Like the Mane goal, the Hendo goal against Everton will forever piss me off. Even if we win the league this year, I will still be seething about that goal for a long time, because that was a legitimate goal that was ruled off because they drew lines and drew lines, then drew more lines on the lines and kept doing it. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Just like, it should be like a time limit on these things, right? If you can't see the 100% fault in the first 20 seconds, just let play carry on. Like, if we're looking at it and we're looking at slow-mos and then more slow-mos, 4 different angles, like, there's been handballs given, and then the handball rules changed within the season. So you see in the handballs that were given early in the season, not given now. And it's like, there's no consistency. It just needs to be... I'm hoping this is all teething problems, and next season maybe we'll see like a more streamlined version of it, where we're like, right, this is why the last couple of seasons we've been like, fucking hell, this is shit. This is why it's all been needed for this moment where we can go, right, VAR is good and it's good for the game, and it is good for the game, but at the moment it's not very good. And I think, like Jay said, at the moment, if you took it away, and I mean, if I put a poll on the Kopite Twitter account, for example, saying if you could take VAR away today, would you or wouldn't you? I reckon most would say yes, take it away. But in reality, that would be counterproductive, because we're trying to get to the point where the right decisions are being made, and they're not at the moment because there's too much analysis of everything. Like, it's over-analysis for the sake of it, because everyone knows it's the best league in the world and trying to get the right decisions, but in doing that, they're coming to the wrong decisions because they're over-analysing everything. That's just,
They need to stop the clear and obvious bullshit and just say, if it's a mistake, VAR will tell you it's a mistake. Not if it's an obvious mistake. Because in my opinion, if you make a mistake, it's obvious. You made a mistake. There's no black or it's just black or white. There's no in between. And the sooner they just say, look, stop worrying about re-refereeing the game. VAR has been brought in, and when you change a decision, you are re-refereeing the game. That's what you're doing. Just accept the fact that if there's a mistake, VAR is going to call it out, and just leave it like that. And that's how this gets fixed.
Yeah, well, when VAR first came in, they said that it's not the ambition of VAR to re-referee the game, but that's what we're getting to now, because they know it's there. They know it's a system that they can use. They're relying on it. We don't want to be relying on it. We want to be using it. It's like what's it called in tennis? Hawkeye. Yeah, it's like that, where they can challenge when they want or whatever, but it should be a backup system. Like, we should just be getting on with the game and using it as a backup if we need it, and that's the end of it. And that's what it should. That's what I'm hoping it'll become in very soon years, hopefully.
And it needs to stop getting used only if a player goes down. Like, if Mane would have gone down against, was it Newcastle, where the goalkeeper had his arms around him, then that probably would have got viewed. But because he didn't go down, it doesn't get viewed. That needs to stop as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting debate and has been a hot topic for quite a while now. But moving on to kind of this weekend, a little tweet about this weekend's game.
So, Spying Cop, our good mate Jay. So it was Everton, then Chelsea, then Spurs, now it's Man United. All pretenders. Come May, we all know it'll be between Liverpool and City.
I feel like that scares me. Tempting fate. What I will say about United, and they may very well be pretenders. What scares me about them is the fact that they've been picking up points and not playing well, and that's usually a sign of champions. We did that a bit last year, where we were just grinding out results and maybe not blowing teams away all the time. And now, you wouldn't say that United's performances have been great, but they've been getting the 3 points. Hopefully, the performances and the results level out and they start dropping points again. But I wouldn't want to tempt fate just before they come to Anfield.
For me, I think we're always going to have a contender. We're always going to have a pretender. We're always going to have people who are say that they're going to win the league and then they end up doing. But I think City are starting to hit their stride now. I think they've got another game in hand, I believe. So they could easily be right up there again. They already are. They're not far behind us. It's just going to be a lot tighter given everything circumstances that have been going on. over the last 12 months. It's just completely different now. And yes, you can't win a title by, 18 points every year. It's going to be a bit more of a challenge, and that's what we're in right now. But at the end of the day, we're still up there. Let's just take it as it is, and Liverpool still will be there by the end of the season. I think City will as well. I don't agree that it'll just be those two teams, because I agree with you, Matt. I think United are playing well, and I think when you're playing well in January and you are where you are in January, it doesn't, unless you're Arsenal, you don't tend to drop off. So yeah, I think between those three, I think we'll add those two. We'll just add Man United in the mix as well. Do I think Man United are going to win it? No, because I do think there'll be times where they do get beat. Hopefully that starts this Sunday, and it will be between Liverpool and City. But let's just hope that we're just out of our little post-Christmas, pre-Christmas rut now, and we're done, and we can focus now.
All right. Well, that's one thing that Man United have struggled with is consistency at home, and obviously the staple of a champion, or at least that has been for the last 10, 15 years in the Premier League, is a team that's able to consistently win at home, which Man United struggle to do. They've been very, very good away, which, albeit like Matt says, makes me nervous about this weekend. But I just don't see them being consistent enough, because I understand they're unbeaten in 11. But I just don't see them being able to continue that over the course of a season. I think they've had a lot of things that have bounced their way, and I think that as soon as that starts, bouncing the other way, I think that their momentums will swing, and I think they'll be caught up in a battle with the likes of Tottenham, Leicester, and Chelsea, in a battle for a Champions League spot. And I mean, City are looking like they're hitting their stride, as Jay rightfully said. And they're becoming increasingly difficult to score against, and that is another sign of a team that's really going to try, push to contend. So, I actually agree with it, but I think that it's not 100% for certain. But having said that, it's time to move on to our next tweet, and we're going to come to the expert Mick for this one straight away.
You really want me to go first on this?
Listen, I'm not talking on this one. I'm leaving it up to Mick.
I was about to say, I think we should just have Mick talk for about 3 to 4 minutes here about just the way he feels about this.
Let me just get open thesaurus.com for sexy bastard, and I'll just read out the words, whatever that says. Yeah. He's definitely got more hip flexibility than Shakira. It's 100%. But yeah, what a guy. I think I've said enough on this fella, haven't I? Surely I have. No, he's just. I love him. I absolutely love him. He's just. He can be the key to us getting over this mini blip that we're on at the moment, because he is that good, and the fact that he's only played I think it's is this going to be his 6th game, is it, or 5th game this Sunday?
His Anfield debut as well.
His Anfield debut, yeah. It's mental, really, when you think we signed him on the 18th of Sep, so he should have played loads more games. The fact that he's only getting into his stride as well. He's only just really getting used to playing for Klopp. It's scary how good he can become, and it's come at the perfect time. He's back at full fitness. That we're the fullback way of doing things. Clubs have started to put 10 men behind the ball, and they know we're going to do that. So the fact that we've got another option in the middle, and he can break those lines from the middle and play those little sexy balls in behind and break defensive lines, break from midfield lines with ease. He loves a 50-50. He's boss in the air. He's got the whole package, and the fact that we've got him, we just need to feel blessed by it, honestly, because he is that good. He's one of the best in the world, and the fact that we've got him, the fact that he's left Bayern Munich, European champions, to come and play for us, to come and play for Jurgen Klopp, we should feel privileged by that. And the fact that we've talked about all these other names like Mbappe and Haaland and maybe Sancho as well, players like that. If Thiago is willing to leave European champions to come and play for Liverpool, why would no one else want to do that? Of course, they're queuing up to come and sign for Liverpool. So that tweet we were talking about earlier, that's why I think it's bullshit. Because if Thiago wants to come here and prove a point and do it in the Premier League and win the Premier League and win Champions League with us, then everyone else does, and he can do that because he's that good. But yeah, I'll leave it there because I could talk for about an hour about him, so I'll leave it there.
All right, I think we're going to wrap up on that. Thank you for joining for our first ever Into the Twitterverse. Special thanks to Matt, special thanks to Jay, special thanks to Mick, and we'll see you.